So we just want to talk tonight, and we just want to talk about Father's Day. Let fathers have their day. So every Father's Day, now we don't see this on Mother's Day. As a matter of fact, let me kind of give some background where this came from. Ebony did write out the topic, but I actually saw it today when I went to Publix. Now for Mother's Day, Publix had balloons everywhere. They was lined up down the aisles, like every aisle lined up, flowers. The front was packed out with flowers and balloons. I go in there today. We're 4 days away from Father's Day.
See, I'm gonna let him talk, y'all, because I don't have it to do.
We're like 4 days away from Father's Day, and I look, and hold on, there we go. So I look, and the Father's Day just got a little section. I literally counted like 6 balloons. They had 6 like football shaped balloons or whatever. I said, okay, so Father's Day gets treated a little bit different. Why do you think there's a difference between Father's Day and Mother's Day?
I told you I was not talking tonight. Oh my gosh. He's gonna have to talk. I don't think you all get treated differently. For one, most men, I don't think you all, first of all, like balloons. So let's start there. As a mother would. Then secondly, I don't think you all get treated differently, but maybe you do get treated differently. I don't know. I'm not a man. I'm a woman. Hallelujah. Full-fledged woman. Praise God. All parts. But maybe it's just I don't want to say the way, maybe it is the way society views motherhood versus fatherhood. I remember hearing the term growing up sometimes, mommy's babies, daddy's maybe. So, it's always going to be, everything is on mom. I mean, you might not agree, but everything is on mom. And dad does have that option to somewhat come in and out of the child's life, but for the most part, moms are a very firm foundation. When everything else besides the Lord is rocky, your mama gonna be there, even if she don't like you, even if y'all might be having some disagreements. There's always something inside of a mother that is going to be there. But maybe it's a society thing, maybe why fathers don't get that respect that you all do deserve. I've had my father in my life all my life. I have amazing dad, have amazing godfather, and I've been blessed to have great male role models in my life. So I don't have issues with men. Even my children's father, for my 4 girls from my first marriage, their father is in their life. I don't have no drama. So, but I don't think, maybe, like I said, maybe it's so much more commercialized for Mother's Day than it is for Father's Day. I don't like it, and I'm sure we're going to segue into it later on in the podcast. I don't like it when I did see a card that says Happy Father's Day to you, Mom.
Okay.
I did not like that, but I understood the context, because for so many women that have been single mothers, they've had to, their children may view them as mother and father, even though they know, the sexual orientation is as a female, but they've had to do both. And for some children, that is their reality in this world, that they've seen their mom, being a single mom, have to do both.
Yeah.
So that's where maybe that level of respect comes in at, in that regards to that card. Like I said, I did see a card like that. I was like, ooh, like you said, let the men have their day. I do believe men should have their day. They should have their moment, especially for the ones that do step up and make it happen for their own children, and then for maybe children that are not their own. So, and I could speak about that too, because I've had that experience in my life as well with my father, stepping up to take that head leadership. When my mother and my father got married, my mom was married previously. Even growing up, I didn't even know my sister was my quote unquote half sister. We never talked like that in my household, not until I was like older. But there are some men that are actively stepping up and taking on that father responsibility. So for those men, like, if this is all I say today, which I might, I commend you all, because it is a hard job. It is a hard role, um, and it can be faced with positiveness, and then it also can be faced with a little maybe adversity
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of reluctancy from children. Um, introducing a new man in their life versus what their father was. So I think I said a whole lot, so I'm gonna shut up. But hey, you guys, thank you for coming in, tuning into Loveless Marriage. I see Miss Valencia has joined us. Miss Selena Watts is here, and Miss Stephanie Caldwell is here. Thank you all. I'm gonna read a comment from Valencia. She said, Valencia Danielle said, they definitely get treated differently, which is why every year I try to make sure my brothers and dad have a great Father's Day. I'm actually treating them to a night out somewhere else. That's sweet.
Okay.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's always good to. And again, we're talking about Father's Day and how letting your dad have that day because, men, we don't get recognized like that as far as moms do. Recently I did a men's seminar, a men's talk.
Right.
And, we was talking and I was telling them, I can leave the house and our youngest daughter doesn't even notice when I'm gone. Like,
That is not true.
I mean, she'll
Let
see
him
me
have his
leaving.
moment. I'm letting him have his moment.
She'll see me leaving and I'm like, okay, Dad. But when Mom is leaving, where's Mom at? Have a whole breakdown. And so, it's like, why can't dads get that same treatment?
Do you want that breakdown? I would.
Yes, sometimes I want to break down.
Oh, you do?
Yes, break down for me one good time. Like, show me that you care.
Look,
I have a good
so no,
old-fashioned
but you
crying
know what? I
breakdown.
think it is so. I think again, it is so different because with children, their emotional bond is different with their mom. It
Yeah.
is it is that close connectedness that is something that's undescribable. It it just happens. Some it does happen immediately. Then some it does happen, over time.
Mhm.
But I think that's where that bond comes from. And again, with dad, you all don't have that. It's the connections for both are different. It's like it's a beautiful song and dance, because they know, oh, my daddy, for me, my daddy's my protector, my daddy's my defender, my daddy's my provider. He's the strong guy. So, that's what I see. But, for a girl, like, oh, my mommy's so nurturing, my mommy's going to kiss on me. My mommy's going to hug me. I it's a different take. So maybe that's why they're not like, oh, daddy's leaving. And it's like, okay, whatever.
Like,
But
whatever, get out.
right. And even I will say this, even with parenting, it's kind of weird because even with parenting, even with my girls, even with my first marriage, and even now, I tell them, you do understand that you do have a father in the house. Like, go to him, like, talk to him, leave me alone. But it's just that weird bond that God has placed inside of, I guess, a child. But even with that though, there are some girls that are daddy's girls that, like, they don't want to holler at mama all the time. They want their daddy. And then, when if something's really, really majorly important, they go running to mama. Like, for me, I know I'm a daddy's girl. I love my dad. We call it, he knows it, and I'm 44 years old, and that's my number one buddy. And I'll say that, and even I can read text messages today, and you'll see on my phone, he'll be like, love you, number one buddy. Like, it's just something, it's just a different bond. And then it's also, I think it depends on how that father has poured into that daughter or son as well. So there you have that. But I can definitely arrange for Zion Simone Butler to grab onto your leg and to cry when you leave. I absolutely can do that.
It ain't gonna happen. I mean, it's just.
Since you want it, bro, I'll let you have it.
I know, but I know it's not gonna happen because there's just an emotional bond kids form with mom. Because dads, we're not. I think kids can sense that nurturing aspect too. Like,
Right.
dad is, when your dad go home, you're gonna be in trouble. And so it's like I appreciate being appreciated as a dad, but it's never gonna be like mom. And so one of the thoughts that kind of spawned off of this conversation
Mm-hmm.
is that I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was men and women on the panel,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were saying that it seems that women become overly masculine when a man isn't there to compensate for dad not being there,
Right.
but you don't see men becoming overly feminine to when they're like single fathers. And so it was kind of like, on Mother's Day, you never hear people telling single dads Happy Mother's Day because we don't become overly feminine, but it seems like on Father's Day that single moms get that Happy Father's Day. Like you
Well,
had to be both.
well, I'll say this. See, I wasn't trying to talk to y'all. I wasn't trying to talk tonight. Jesus. Um, but since you opened it up, I will say this because when you are a single mom, you and I've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been a single parent, you can't speak to what that looks like and what that feels like in a household, especially in my situation. I have 4 daughters. And yes, like I said, they do have a father and their father was active, but it's just something about the presence of a male that young women do crave, young women do want. And I honestly believe that is something that God has placed inside of every young woman, that they want that attention and that positive affirmation from a man. And sometimes when you're a single mom and you're trying to make adjustments, or even if you're going through divorce or you're going through separation or you just have a child out of wedlock, you feel that lack, you feel that need, even within yourself as a female. You feel like, okay, I want that male presence.
Mm-hmm.
And then even you see it with your children, how your children act and react to certain things. And it's not like women, and I'll say this as far as I was concerned, certain times that I had to, I don't want to say be masculine, but kind of have a more authoritative role. It's not like we want to be authoritative in that certain context. Is we've been placed in a position to have that masculine, I guess, feel or role. We've had to do that. We've had to have that voice. We've had to have that voice. We've had to have that kind of stance, that attitude, that protector attitude, especially women that have daughters. And even nowadays, Jesus, the society that we're living in, you got to be protector of your male child now too. So we've had to have asserted ourselves in roles that we may not have wanted to, because of the lack of a man being present at that moment in that time when we needed it. But if the woman knows her role, when a man does come and you can see that this man is trying to be positive, we will retreat. We will lay back if we feel like we're being protected and cared for and our children are being nurtured as well.
See,
Hopefully I didn't say too much. I know some people are commenting, but
honestly, I've never understood that, because it's like saying, okay, once we find someone to fulfill that role, then I'll become. But on the opposite side, I don't hear a lot of men saying, once I find opposite feminine energy, then I'll become masculine, or then I'll feel the role that I'm supposed to fulfill. It's just, I guess, for me as a man, it sounds weird. Like I've heard women say exactly what you said. Like, well, when I find a man where I can rest in my feminine, I will. But if you're not already resting in your feminine, then chances are you're not going to attract a masculine man. Like, men don't say that. Men don't say, well, when I find a feminine woman, then I'll rest in my masculine.
okay. I'll say this, Lord, I wasn't trying to shift this way, but I guess since you want to shift and bring it, we're gonna shift it. Again, women, real women. I'm not talking about I don't want to say class women. I myself, I'll say this, I know I have somewhat of a strong personality, and kind of like some people have said, I have an alpha personality. Again, I know within myself though that I don't want to be overly aggressive. I don't want to be dominant. Honey, cater to me, take care of me. I will submit it's not like we're trying to be like, oh, rah rah rah, hear me roar while I got this leopard dress on. It's not like we're trying to be aggressive because we want to be. There has been circumstances that have been placed upon us, again, that we've had to assert ourselves. Of course, as a man, unless, and I've seen some men that have grown up around, that have a very heavily female presence, that do have feminine tendencies or somewhat energy, because of, again, that's how they were brought up. That's who been placed before them. That's who they've been around. So of course they're going to exude it. But again, the right woman, when and it's true, I'm not trying to be funny. With my father, when my dad, my dad comes and visits once a year. I know when my dad is here, like I said, it's just the shifting. There's a way there's a way that I adjust. There's a way that I change, because my daddy's here. My daddy has been my protector. My daddy has been my provider. My daddy has been there. There has not been a time that I have not needed my father. My father has shown up. He's present. So I know, because I have relationship with him. And just like with a woman, when you're introduced to a new man that you may not know, that takes time. That relationship, that level of comfortability takes time. A woman is a woman of, I would say, a wise woman watches. When I was going through the dating process, I watched certain men that I entertained. I did not bring men around my children if I didn't feel like it was going to be something of a lasting impression. But I knew when I was looking for a spouse, I would look for characteristics and qualities like my father has. So when I knew I was in a presence, and no offense, I know men say, oh, I know when I meet a woman that I can run over. It's the same thing for women. We know when we meet a man, oh, I can talk to him crazy. Lord, I hate to say this. I can talk to him crazy. I can treat him however I want to, because it's something that is exuded and given off. But again, when a woman, and whether you like it or not, I guess this new term, feminine energy, and this is all new, because we didn't used to talk like this before. So, but when you have that sense of, okay, this is a man, I can rest in that. And for me, that was something that was important to me, that God, whoever you send, I want to feel like I can trust him. I want to feel at peace. I don't want to feel like I'm on the edge. I don't want to feel paranoid. And when you've been in situations that you felt like that before, it's something you can't describe it, and you will never understand what that feels like, because you are a man. Okay. So you can't, some stuff you just not going to be able to understand. And just the things like you as being a male, I will never be able to understand, because I don't have that, God hasn't placed that inside of me like he's placed inside of you. I hope I'm not rambling, y'all. And if I am, just say, Ebony, shut up, go to bed. And I will gladly go to bed and shut up.
See, I understand what you're saying, but
I'm about to say, here's a but.
No, it is. It really is. I understand what you're saying, but it's like, if I can just be blunt with me and things like, okay, who cares? Because
what you mean, who cares?
Okay,
let's
you just said
that. Who cares? What do you mean by who cares?
Because you just said that when you meet a man, you're looking for those qualities that was in your dad. So if you would have met a man and he was overly feminine, you don't care the reason why he had to be overly feminine. Or you grew up around your mom and your aunts and your female cousins. Like, you don't care about that. You just know, okay, this ain't the man for me.
Okay.
Can we agree on that?
Let me say this.
But first, can we agree on that? Seriously, can we agree on that?
That question that you just posed cannot just be black and white. I have to give some context.
Okay.
Again, off of meeting someone, there is, I believe, a sense of discernment there that kicks in. Secondly, everything has to do with relationships. And for women, and especially, and maybe this is brings some light. If a woman has had a strong male presence in her life, She knows what that looks like and she knows how to respond to it. If she has not had a male presence in her life that has been strong in her life, then she responds with a different type of maybe that's what she responds with a different type of energy, because maybe she hasn't had that strong male presence in her life, or the presence that she's had in her life has not been what it should have been. Thus, the reason why she may come off hard, aggressive, very demonstrative, very masculine, because maybe the male's presence that she's had have not been positive, and not and she has not there's no point of reference to say I can trust him, because the people that have been in my life that I thought I could trust have let me down. And I think I just preached for every woman to explain it. And it's okay. And again, I know men don't like it and y'all don't appreciate it, but again, it comes with relationship. So if you're trying to get to know the female that you're trying to pursue, she may be an amazing woman, but there's like, ooh, why is she like that? Talk to her, period. Get to know her, ask the questions, because if you ask the questions and you talk to her, she may be able to unravel some of those layers that maybe that's why you're getting that energy, as they say, that's why you're getting the energy that you get. That's the best way I can explain it.
But see, I think you're dancing around the question.
I'm not dancing.
Because you never answered the question.
I did.
If you as a woman know what you're looking for in a man,
right,
and you come across a man who's feminine, do you care about the reason why?
I do care.
Okay, but would you pursue that man, or would you stay and actually consider a relationship with a feminine man?
I need to ask questions. It's not black. Okay, no offense. That's like saying, okay, would you so automatically you will write off a female because she, I guess, exudes masculine energy. You automatically write her off. You don't know her story. See, so I just asked you. I'm just doing what you told me.
I'm answering.
Answer the question.
But I'm answering your question. You still haven't answered mine.
I did.
Story.
You don't want to. You don't like my answer.
No, you didn't answer it.
I said I would have to. Let me see. Let me try to get to know him.
So when you met me, if I was feminine, you could have really saw yourself with me.
Immediately, we don't oftentimes we don't go in looking like, oh, this is my husband. That was not my thought process when I met you. I was not looking for, look, why has this shifted like this? When I met you, I wasn't looking to be in a relationship with you. I told you I don't want to be in a relationship with anybody right now, because the relationship I just got out of, some things was not where it needed to be. So I was trying to figure out what's wrong with me. What do I need to fix inside of me that I thought I was doing things right, and then it just shifted left. But that's on that person. But again, I don't know. That it's hard to say. I have answered your question. I told you I don't know, and you didn't like my answer.
Okay. No, because I think what we're seeing is that women don't care. Women don't care about the reason a man is feminine. They want that man to show up and be a man. No excuses, no nothing.
So what do you define showing up being a man?
I mean, showing up having the attributes of a man. Leadership, strength, actually having a job, actually knowing how to manage his money.
No, I want that. I wanted that, and I knew what that looked like.
Okay,
so if you didn't display, okay, so you're talking about displaying characteristics. You're talking about, okay, that's what you're talking about.
But that's what it is, though. There are characteristics of being feminine. There are characteristics of being masculine. So if a man shows up without the characteristics of being masculine, women don't care why. They would soon write him off. But for men, it seems like women want us to dive into it. Come save me, or come understand my plight. Come understand the reason why I am. Listen, I don't. It's not for anyone to understand your reasoning. You have to show up and be the person that person's looking for. And if you're not, they're going to move on. And so it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier.
We was talking about Father's Day cards. You're supposed to be talking about Father's Day cards.
We are. We're talking about Father's Day and how, because the conversation started out where there are single mothers that will say Happy Father's Day to, but you're not a father. Like you may walk in that masculine energy, and even walking in that masculine energy, I don't think most men want that, because
they don't want that. They don't. You want us to be soft, and I get it.
So if single fathers don't become soft like single mothers, why is it necessary that single mothers have to become hard like men? I mean, it's not necessary, because
I don't think
you can't be both.
It's not necessary, but again, and like I said, it is very few and far between that you hear, and that's what I didn't talk about. It is very few and far in between that you hear about single dads. You do not hear about a lot of single dads. You don't, it's just something that's not talked about a lot, like it is talk about single mothers. No offense, they ain't having no conferences for single fathers. It's not happening. They ain't having no mixers. That I don't know if they have no playtime with dad. It seemed like, honestly, within the last few years that the little dad sneaker balls and things like that, or like at Zion School they had donuts with dad, like you just started kind of hearing about that more, having that elevated male presence around. And again, I think it's because of society. Like I said before, it will always forever be mommy's baby, daddy's maybe. And I'm not saying that no, I don't want, again, I have the spirit of discernment, so I'm like okay, I might be like, okay, well, why does he does have a tinge of feminine in what's going on? I do ask that immediately when I meet some people. I'm like, I wonder why they act like that.
But is that attractive to you? Let's
no, it's not attractive. Okay. So that's what you didn't ask the right questions, Elder.
No,
that's not attractive. No, that's not attractive.
Okay, and see, the reason why I asked that is because, and again, the call in is right there. You can call in on Zoom and tell us what y'all think, or call in with your questions or comments. And so, let's start there. Is it attractive?
You like just what Stephanie said.
You just said it's not attractive. So if on the initial meet,
yes,
on the initial meet, if a feminine man is not attractive, we cannot get mad at men for saying on the initial meet a masculine woman turns us off. And I
agree.
And that's where it lies. People want to say, well, you have to dig into my story. But we just sat here and agreed on the initial meet, those opposite characteristics of what we're looking for is not attractive. So when I first meet you and you come off as hard, it's an instant, okay, I'm moving on. And I know we don't like to say that to women, because it's like our women have become overly masculine, and I don't even want to say because they had to. You can still be a single parent and not become that masculine figure, or have that masculine energy, just like men can be single parents and not become overly feminine.
And I do agree. I agree with you. We got to read some of the comments, because we have a lot of comments coming in. I do agree with you. But again, for some women, they may honestly have never had a male presence in their family. So when they themselves become a single mom, or if they maybe were divorced and their husband just totally left, or whatever situation is, they may feel, because maybe they have not been taught, maybe no one's been there to show them, like, hey, you don't have to be like, have like a butch, kind of a very male dominant, I don't want to say that, like, sorry for the terminology. You don't have to come across being very hard and aggressive. Again, it's all based on experiences. And oftentimes, like Stephanie said, it is based on the fact of what did she experience, and this is no shade to anybody, before you came into her life. You don't know. Her uncles may have raped her. Her dad may have raped her. Her grandpa may have raped her. She may have had negative experiences. She may have seen her mom get beat on, her grandma. You don't know what she's had happen in her life. And yes, God bless you, elder. It's not your job to try to figure it out upon meeting. But again, like we talk about using discernment, and I don't think discernment has to always be so spiritual. I believe there's just the natural and inkling, like, why does that woman act like that? There, and just again with a man, you're like, why does he act like that? What happened to him? What's his story? Oftentimes we write people off without hearing their story. We do. We be like, okay, well, they just no. Some people you can be like, okay, I wonder what happened because he seems a little. What you laughing for, Ninja?
I'm just laughing because you're basically just saying what I just said. Like that initial meet. Okay. Let's. We
read the comments.
We read Stephanie's comment. So
Carl don't want this. Carl don't want this energy tonight.
So
you don't want my ebony energy.
So after that, even Stephanie said, not saying it's right, but it's a reality. Claire said,
no, you didn't read Stephanie's full comment. She said, I don't think most women necessarily aim to operate in masculine energy. In society, women are more vulnerable than men to be victimized. Absolutely. Even in corporate America, if we are not, we are taught, you have to be assertive because it's a male dominated industry. It's taught, and certain things are taught and are ingrained in us that how we have to be in order to quote unquote produce what a man is producing or get the same results as a man. You and I, we could have the same skill set, could have the same education, but you will get treated absolutely differently than I will. That's just the facts.
Okay.
Whether you like it or not. Okay, let's go back. I'm sorry. So I think it becomes a protective mechanism. Absolutely. Hey, Mama D, she says single dads are rare. Absolutely. Most women have to step up to the plate and raise their babies alone. Stephanie also said, not saying it's right, but it's the reality. It's just true. Clara Banks, our cousin, said, in this day and time, feminine energy from a man is not attractive. Absolutely. Mama D said, I raised my babies alone and kept my feminine intact. Stephanie laughed at us. Clara Banks says, as a single parent, I did not rely on masculine energy because I found out who I was early on. Exactly. She said, I'm strong, yet, Mama D said, I'm strong, yet feminine. Go ahead.
And that's what I'm saying. Mama D and Claire basically said the same thing. You can be a single parent and still rest where you're supposed to, still be feminine. But I think, okay, so you just said that, and Claire said it, masculine energy from a man is not attractive. When
Right.
women meet a masculine, feminine man, they do not care why. I mean, I understand you're going to get to know different people.
Right.
But as a whole, when women meet feminine men, everything you name, men go through also.
Right.
Little boys are molested. Little boys are sexually assaulted.
Absolutely.
Little boys are raised without mom, dad, raised by grandparents, have abusive cousins. But little boys go through the same thing little girls go through for the most part. So nobody cares about his story though. And I think that's the whole point. Is that when a man shows up feminine, most of the time he may have been molested as a child. But nobody cares. Nobody cared that R. Kelly was molested by an older woman when he was little. Nobody cared.
Let me ask you this. Okay. Since you done change, this is supposed to be talking about greeting cards and balloons and flowers. Now we done transition, and don't forget, you all can absolutely call in. I know you all make comments, but we would love for you to dial in, so we can hear you live and in person, and to hear your take on it. Because we're here to open and learn, and to grow and to help each other in these dating streets and these marriage streets and the divorce streets. We're here to help each other. But yeah. I understand you're saying nobody cares. Maybe it's not. Don't say nobody cares. Maybe sometimes people don't take the time. That's what it is. People don't take the time to care and to understand. As far as R. Kelly's backstory, I have yet to, honestly, I have not watched the documentary about his life or certain things. Like, I've seen little bits and pieces of stuff, just because the whole thing is kind of like mind-blowing and baffling to me. So I don't want to dive into that, because I do know what it's like to also be, when I was younger, someone that we went to church with tried to touch me. So I know what that feels like. So certain things for me, I don't try to open up those gates. I try to, I don't want to say block it out. I believe I dealt with it, thank God for my parents and my mom. But, so certain things I don't try to entertain, because I don't want to go into that. But again, like you said, but he has a story, and if you listen to his story, then we can be like, okay, well, that's maybe why he does certain things, and maybe that's why um he went along that slope of child being a child predator. Basically, he's a predator. um so, but getting back to the Father's Day cards, because that's what we were supposed to be talking about. Carl wants some flowers, but honestly, Carl wants flowers. He wants Zion to come running, grabbing his leg, talking about leave, don't go. But hold on, let me say this. El, Lord, Sasha, sorry, Sasha. Sasha's, she said, hey, everyone. She said, I wouldn't say no one cares. I agree with Ebony. People don't just take the time, and that is our reality. We don't take the time. Mama D said, I don't have a man in my life to honor. However, I won't dishonor a man on Father's Day either. Absolutely. And I guess that's the thing. Like, we as a society, we don't take time. We oftentimes, and we all have done it, we just look at surface and that's it. But if you were to honestly take the time, because we all want somebody to hear our story, we all have a voice. Like and I'll just say this because Carl and I have talked about this and we have laughed about this. I could have written you off because, okay, the first time I saw Carl, it was at church. And when I immediately saw Carl, I was like, oh, he's a preacher, he's a minister. He just had that look. Now, the times after I saw him, he had on jeans and a hoodie. And I'm like, Jesus, I could have written you off then. I could have like, okay, well, what?
That's apples and oranges.
Hold on.
It's apples and oranges.
What'd you say? It's not apples. Hold on, please. Don't do that to me. No, because you said sometimes initially meeting someone. So yes, when I first initially met you, you looked one way. And then the second time I saw you, I could have been like, oh, okay, well, why does he look like that? Why does he continue to look like that? He only looks a certain way. Again, no, it's the truth.
No, I'm laughing because, okay, we're saying I didn't bring appearance into it.
No, yes, you did. You said when you meet someone.
I said when you meet someone,
when I met
show up, do they show up masculine or feminine?
When I met you showed up like a preacher. Period.
I showed up masculine whether I was wearing a suit or whether I was wearing a hoodie.
You didn't have hoodie on. I know what you had on.
Or whatever I had on.
Right.
You knew I was in masculine energy.
Right.
And so that's what we're saying. It's not about what you're wearing. It's not about if your hair is long or short. Do you show up in the energy that you say you want? So we do have someone calling in.
Hey, somebody called in. Let's put our earbuds in.
Go make sure that we can hear y'all. All right. My brother Joseph.
Hi, Joe.
So hold on, Joe. Let me bring you on screen real quick.
I'll just put one earbud in.
All right, Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, Joe.
What's going on?
Hi, what's up?
Go ahead and talk. Let's talk about it.
All right, so there's two things I wanted to hit on. So when Carl was saying that people don't, I'm on the treadmill, so if I'm breathing,
what is up with y'all going to work out on Thursday? That must be a thing.
So I was talking to a coworker, and the reason why it's not taken as seriously when a male has been sexually abused or just has had an interaction with someone older than him, it's because it's looked at as it's okay. He's a man, he'll get over it. It helps him with his pride, right?
Oh, wow.
With a young woman, it is looked at differently, as if she has been abused. She's mentally now damaged, and now she has to go through a process of a difficult life, especially when she looks at another man. But men don't get that. So when it comes down to it, when women are dating and they want to date young, right? It's never looked at as a bad thing. But if men date young, we're looked at as pedophiles. We're looked at as a man who can't get something with an older woman because of something maybe going on with him mentally, that he has to go to a young woman, and he's looked at as how R. Kelly is looked at, as Carl was talking about.
So you're saying,
I believe that, go ahead.
So you're saying that you think that, okay, so I'm just gonna throw some numbers out, fictitious numbers. So you're saying if you were 20, I'll just say 21, and you started dating a 18 year, no, I'll take that back. You're 25 and you're dating an 18-year-old young lady. You think that you're looked at as a pedophile or you're messing with a little girl.
It will be looked at that she is too young and she doesn't know what it is that she really wants. And don't let that drop to 17
Yeah.
because that's when it becomes a legal issue.
Absolutely. That's why
Yeah.
I didn't say 17. I said 18.
Right. So, but you have to do that because nowadays the older men are going younger
Mm-hmm.
due to different reasons, but it will be looked at as straight bad. Like the dude from B2K, I forgot that dude's name.
Yeah. Raspy.
He, yeah, that's it. He was talking to his girlfriend for a long time before they actually had intercourse, but she was only 16 when they started dating. And now that I think she's 19, they actually got married. So what they
How old
did
is he,
was,
though?
he's like, what is he, Carl? About 30?
Yeah, he's older.
He's about like
Yeah, he's
35,
Hold on. Okay.
36.
Yeah.
He might be
35,
38.
36, and 19. And they were
Yeah,
dating when she was 16.
yes.
Okay, so
But it was kept
that's some
quiet.
layers that you have to unpack right there, too.
Yeah, a whole lot. But you
Right.
see how the difference is. So if it's a woman going for a younger male, regardless if it's 17, 18, 19, 20, and she may be in her 30s, it's looked like it's differently. It's not weighed the same.
No,
Yeah. And
I
let me
And
just
I
disagree
never,
hold on. Let
because
me
I've heard
hold on.
some. Go
Let
ahead.
me
Go ahead.
make correction. Angela did correct us. It's not Raspy. It was Marcus
Marcus
Houston.
Houston.
Marcus Houston,
Yeah.
that's
So
right.
we don't
Yeah,
want to put the
Marcus
wrong
Houston.
name out there.
So, but no, I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
say
yeah.
this no because if I've seen in instances that there have been younger women that have dated older men. And I actually talked to my daughters about it, and they were like, "Ooh, that just looks so nasty. That looks like a grandpa." So no, it's looked at bad in both instances.
Uh-huh,
It's just
uh-huh.
more. I feel like
I
it's
don't
more
think it's looked
talk.
at. It's not looked at bad when it's women because when older women are
Yeah.
dating much younger men, it's almost celebrated. Like men
It is like the play on the word,
when
cougars.
hey Brittany Reiner,
Hmm.
what's her name?
The basketball
Oh,
girl.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
when she was on college campuses looking for these young freshmen, she was almost celebrated. Like, but men was calling her a a predator because
Hmm.
again, just like Joe started off saying, when men are taken advantage of at a young age, we're looked at, oh, just get over it, you're a man. I've actually heard women say, men, there's no way a man can be R
Molested,
word.
raped.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Why you can't say that?
they just
Because you'll get
can't.
thrown
Yeah.
off.
And so,
Oh, I'm sorry.
um,
I didn't know.
and, and so they say there's
Wow.
no way a man can be R word. But if it happens, we're just expected to kind of get over it. And to be honest, I mean, it's bad when it happens to either male or female. But for a
Right.
man, I think it's worse because it's more unnatural. Like it's
Hmm.
for a
Yes.
man, it's more. We're not meant. We're not meant to receive. I'll say it like that. And so when it happens to a young boy, it's just more graphic, and we're just expected to deal with it and kind of sweep it under the rug. But
Hmm.
Wow.
it's a
And it's
double standard.
also, you can see it like, so the guy at my work brought
Hmm.
up a different scenario, and he was like, now I have a son and a daughter. And he said, if my daughter's teacher, like we talking about high school now,
Right.
if my daughter's teacher hit on her, he's gonna try to go at that man and pretty much do some stuff to him,
Of
right?
course.
He
Hmm.
said, but if his son, that teacher tried to holler at his son, he gonna be like in front of his mom, in front of his wife, he's gonna be like, man, son, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be. We going down there and talk to
It's
that
a
teacher.
double
When she
standard.
leaves, it's like, that's right, boy. That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's like
Wow.
you're getting congratulated for something that you're being. It's not weighted the same. It's like, yeah, he did that. I'm glad he did that. That was a good experience. But if you touch my daughter, I'm
I'm gonna
going to
choke
your
you out.
head.
Right.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
And even when you was talking about, and this is my last point, Carl, when you was talking about a man showing his feminine side and how a woman will take that in a negative way, but we have to understand that that feminine side that we have as a kid is pretty much knocked out of us. So if something
Oh yeah.
happens to us, we
Yep.
scar our foot, we get hit in football, and we start to
Mm-hmm.
cry, they toughen us up.
Yep.
However, that causes a drastic um, problem in our lives, because then when we end up being with our women
Right.
and they have an issue and they are emotional, we can't react
Connect.
in our
Yep.
Yeah.
masculinity. We
Absolutely.
have to be not so much a feminine, but our soft side. We
Yeah.
have a softer side because we talk to our daughters in certain ways. We don't talk to them as if
Like you
they were
talk your
grown women.
sons. Right.
So if we don't show that, it's like, oh yeah, he's too feminine for me. But then when it's time for you to actually need that feminine side or that emotional side of him, he will not show it because he gets criticized for it, of being called certain words that we know, you know, that we're called. So
Yeah.
we have to make sure that we balance out our feminine side and our masculine side. And when it comes to women, even though my mom raised me
Mm-hmm.
all my life by herself. And I think at 15, my mom stopped being a mom.
Mm.
She started being harder because she
Mm.
felt that that was the age to show me the manly side of not always giving, not always hugging.
Mm.
If something happened bad, wanting to be there to hug me and stuff, she gave me that tough love. So when women don't have that man there, they don't have to be masculine. They can still live in their feminine side,
Mm.
but just be tough.
Mm.
So that masculinity word, it gets me because it's like, okay, the man's not there, so automatically she's known as masculine, and that's not it. She's
Yeah.
basically being herself, being feminine, but she's changing as far as how her love goes. It's not meaning she's taking a part of that man, because a woman can't do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She can only, aid in that direction of the man side.
So
Does
let
that
me
make
ask.
sense?
Yes, let me ask you this question, since you
Mm-hmm.
brought it up. Um, so do you feel like because you were raised by a single mom, do you ever? Because you said when you turned 15, you kind of felt like she kind of was a little bit more stern, maybe with you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like? Of course, when you're 15, you don't know what the term masculine energy is,
Mm-hmm.
but do you feel like she kind of take took on a dominant, I guess, male, more aggressive role, or do you feel like she was exuding more tough love, like you all right, boy, like, but
Mm.
then still comforted you, flipped it kind of. It's like a double edged sword. Like you're all right, but mom is here and she cares about you. If that makes sense.
Right. So she did, but at that age of 15, I
Mhm.
felt, and I've talked to her about it,
Mhm.
I felt she didn't like me. Because
Mm.
when you take that drastic change of being there to be someone who I could run to, cry to, tell my problems to, and let you know that things are going on, and you're there being
Right.
caring, and then you switch, and all of a sudden, you're no longer in that role. So
Wow.
basically, I felt that she didn't love me. It wasn't until I got into high school where she talked to me and told me what it was. Now, when I got older, I was like, she got too much testosterone. Something's wrong with her. Because men know when you have a woman and she's giving that same energy, you notice those two couples, they butt heads.
Mm.
It's too much. It's a ram. Y'all are fighting for
Right.
position
Yeah.
when that's not how it's supposed to be. Everyone has to walk in their own position. However, my mom's position was to, in her eyes, was to show me a different side of life, the hard love. But mentally, at 15, I thought she didn't like me.
Mm.
Wow.
I thought she didn't love me because you switched from what you were doing to something else. It's almost like being in marriages. In the beginning, everything is good. After that 5 year mark, if you start to change, it's like, he doesn't look at me like that no more. He
Right.
doesn't hold my hand no more. He doesn't go out with me no more. It's not that he doesn't love you. It's just something has changed.
Mm.
And you just got to find out what that was and then move on. So
Okay.
that's what happened with her. She explained it to me, but like 10th grade. But by this time, I had already figured it out. But
Yeah.
yeah, In the
Wow.
long run, it worked out, but for the longest, yeah, that was what I thought. I thought she didn't love me. So basically, what I did was, by that time, I think I was still in California. She was living here. My grandmother is the one that kind of, explain certain things to me so that I can understand exactly what she was doing. Because she would always say, "Now, Joseph, grandson, your mom loves you." I'm like, "Granny, she's not showing it. She's just going off on me all the time." So,
Oh wow.
but as I got older, I understood what the position was that she was trying to accomplish. If she did not do that, I don't think I would be the man I am today. So when people say
I was about to ask
there's
you
not a
that.
father in the home, there's no excuse. I
Yeah.
didn't grow up with a father. I had Bishop Trout, and that was it. And I think that turned out pretty good. So that's just an excuse. And
Yeah.
men don't have that. We can't give excuses. We have to make things happen.
Wow.
Yeah, and as you was talking, I
That's
was
good.
thinking about your mom's her position. I'm pretty sure that hurt her to have to do that because I'm pretty sure she wanted to keep being that nurturer, that person you can always go to.
Wow.
But it also had to have an effect on her because now she's got to be something that she really doesn't want to be, but she has to be
Exactly.
for you to turn out a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, we have
Yeah.
some comments. You want to read the comments, or you want me to
Yeah.
read the comments?
So yeah, Joe, we appreciate you for calling
Thank you,
in.
Joe. That was really good.
Yeah, that was
No
good.
problem. Appreciate you. Love y'all.
All right,
Love
love
you
you too.
too. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, and once again, if y'all
That was
wanna
good.
call in, I'm gonna start the Zoom again. Hey, y'all can call in. So let's read some comments. We gotta go way back. I know people was talking.
That was really good.
When I mentioned Brittany Reiner, people were saying that people were calling her a predator. Also, females were calling her a predator. Sasha and Angela.
Hold
Mama
on.
D
Angela
said,
said that man was 41 years old.
"Yeah,
So
he's my age. Like
he's 41 and he's dating a 19-year-old.
he's my age."
He's 41 and I just said you didn't answer my question. He's 41 and dating a 19-year-old.
Yeah, but I'm not going there tonight. I'm really not.
No.
No, I'm not.
Let's talk about it. Go
I'm
ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm not going that night.
Okay.
So, Mom D said I did the same thing with her sons. Claire, when a child becomes a teenager, we have to take into consideration that the child changes too. Unfortunately, some parents will match the energy of that child. Drea said no excuse at all. I think that's when Joe says no excuse, even though the father is not in the home. With a single mom, that will look more like masculine energy.
Andrea always said this is why it was so important for me to teach my boys it's okay to have feelings. Absolutely.
And hey, Pastor Son, we're putting the call in number back up, and I'm starting the meeting again. Hold on, let me get it back up. But yeah, so I
Okay.
remember.
Say what Mama D said. She did say, see, feminine acting men have approached me. I've dated someone. I've dated in the past someone who was not gay, but they were mama's boys and raised around women, like I was talking about earlier. Again,
Yeah,
they have a story that you don't know about. But go ahead. What were you about to say?
Yeah, so I'm not debating that they don't have a story, but when it comes to dating, you can have interest in getting to know people's story, but we're talking about dating. We're talking about dating and marriage. When it comes to dating and marriage, your story is cool, but that initial me initially meeting a woman and she's masculine, that's an instant turn off. So I can get to know your story as a friend, but I've already closed that door of seeing you as more than that. And it's the same thing with women. A woman can see a feminine man and can say, okay, he's cool. I can I can get to know him, but I don't think she sees him as a viable candidate for life at that point.
Well,
a
you
viable
just-
candidate for a husband.
Would you just sit here and you just said yourself that you would be someone's friend and you would cancel her. Clearly, she's not a viable candidate to be your wife, but that's what you may see. Somebody else may see and like, you know what? Let me find out what her story is. Everybody is so different, and sometimes we do write off people without even just giving them that chance. I mean, you don't know the person's story. You don't know, like she's like Mama D said, Pastor Dion said, he was raised around a bunch of women, or he was a mama's boy. It's just hard. Yeah. And there are some girls, again, we're going back to what we were talking about. You don't, to hear about single fathers in this day and age, in this society, we do not speak about it often. So that's why, no offense, the praise and the honor and the gratitude is not given. That's why you don't see the line, if you live over here in Fairburn, Georgia, during Mother's Day. Now, I thought Carl was like over exaggerating when I finally went to the grocery store to see it. When I tell you, it was somewhat overwhelming.
Down every aisle
For
balloons.
Mother's Day. It was balloons, teddy bears, and there wasn't just one aisle. It was like,
every
honest
aisle,
to God,
literally.
every aisle and every checkout lane had balloons, had flowers, that
everything.
And he feels like, when it comes to Father's Day, we don't celebrate it. Now, I did see on Facebook, I did kind of laugh. I might try to go look at it. I'll try to go look it up. Somebody posted, I believe it was Nicole's dad. His name escapes me. His last name escapes me right now. But Bishop put on there, he was like, we want the same as the moms. We don't want no underwear, or if we're gonna get some underwear, can you give us some cologne? Can you put some $100 bills? We don't want no t-shirts. We don't want no the fathers now are saying they want things. They want us to step up as women. And also, I will say this, oftentimes for me, when I give gifts, and Carl will tell you, I give people what they want. And I ask, what do you want? Because I don't want you getting me something that I'm not going to use or that I don't need. So that's why I do not give crappy gifts. If you say, I want money, I shall give you money. You will get a Zelle payment first thing in the morning, praise God. Or if you say, I want the cash, I will get you a gift card, or I'll give you the cash. But now I feel like men are now kind of staking their claim to say, okay, this is what I want now. Before, even some men were very reserved, like, oh, it's a Father's Day, you can hear, like, even my dad be like, it's just another day to me. Me seeing you grow up and me having grandkids, that's present enough. But now, men are starting to talk about what they want more. And we have Sean Ware, Pastor Ware.
So we have another caller calling in. Pastor Ware, you there?
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I cut that mess out. I ain't never heard my mother never had no masculine energy, okay?
Leave it to Pastor Ware. Leave it to Pastor Ware.
Hey, man, cut this mess out, man. Cut this mess out. It's this new jargon.
Exactly. That's what I said, Pastor Ware. We never talked about it. Like, I never knew what this stuff was. Go ahead.
Yes, this new terminology just trips me out, man.
Yeah.
Really, to be honest with you, I don't care what people say. It's really a demon. Anytime a woman takes on a masculine mentality, is that not a demon? You know what I mean? Is that some kind of homosexual about that? Oh, let's be for real. I mean, think about it. I mean, come on, y'all, cut this mess out. No different than a guy. If a guy raises some children, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say, hey, my dad took on this feminine nature to raise us. We all gonna blink 3-4 times. Like, what happened?
Exactly.
What happened?
Exactly.
I mean, so somehow it's okay to say that our mother has took on this masculine mentality.
Yeah.
And my brother and I, we're 2 boys, and we're still 2 boys. You know what I mean? We ain't switching and clicking our heels, none of that. And my mother said a woman the whole time. I'm just being for real. Y'all cut this mess out.
Yeah.
And let's call it for what it really is. No. You don't have a woman does not have to become masculine to raise no sons or daughters.
Yeah.
Just raise them. But the problem, you know what happens? The problem is that we choose not to raise our children the way of the Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know that's corny. I know who want to do that. That's the problem, though. Because since you choose not to raise your children in line with the scriptures, you have to pick up another mentality.
Yeah.
Or pick up another type of energy. You know what I'm saying? What energy?
Yeah.
Energy. So that's what happens. So we are in error. My grandmother never act like a man. Yeah. My mother never act like a man. My mother became a woman. She got her nails done every Friday. Her hair was always popping, always cute.
Wow.
My mother never spoke like a man, act like a man. Matter of fact, she needed a man to come in and maybe do more of the discipline for us.
Right.
But she had to pick up no man mentality to correct her children. Okay, I want my mom to stay soft and warm. When I got upset or emotional, she was emotional with me, right?
Yeah.
She always stayed a woman. That's it. I mean, so ain't nothing changed. There's nothing new under the sun. We just got to raise our children in the way of in the fear of the Lord, and things are gonna be right. But until then, you got to pick up a masculine image. I get it. You got to pick up a feminine image. I get it, because you don't want to pick up Christ. I get it.
I like that.
Or you don't want me to pick you up. I got it. You don't want me to pick you up. I feel you.
He said, "Stay away, stay away." No, that's good, Pastor.
Yeah, that's real.
That's real good.
Yeah. I enjoy y'all, man. Have a good show.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, peace to you.
All right.
That's good. He said, "It's a spirit. Call that thing out."
No, but I do understand what he's saying. But in this age, you have to be PC, I guess.
Politically correct.
Yeah, but and let me just say this: I wasn't raised by a single parent, so I'm not taking away from anybody's experience. So I don't even know where this terminology came from.
Yeah, I don't either.
We're just responding to it. But my mother was so feminine, and it doesn't mean she was weak. It doesn't mean there's nothing weak about being feminine. Just like now we have the term toxic masculinity.
Where'd all this stuff? Hold on, y'all. Where'd all
this
stuff
toxic
come,
about being masculine?
Where'd all this stuff come from? Like, honestly, I think people just. I think they just. People just hear somebody saying one word and it just spreads like wildfire, and everybody now just says it. Because I don't remember growing up. No offense, if I saw a girl and she kind of was like acting kind of like a boy, I'd be like, oh, she's tomboyish. That was the level of toxic masculinity.
Yeah,
it was she's a tomboy, or if she was overly girly, supposedly she's a girly girl. That was the level of it at that. Yeah. It wasn't nothing else. This whole even toxic, like, where did that? I think again, people just use the word. Everybody's like, "Oh, it sounds good. It fits the sentence right, and it's gonna make me look like I'm popping." I'm going to insert
look like I'm smarter than what I am.
Right. I'm going to insert this word into my vocabulary now. It's just calling it what it is. Like, there were some there were some girls growing up that, she was a tomboy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, again, like, about the far as the parental status in I guess as my kids say, our generation, it was being a tomboy was she just plays with the boys. She plays basketball. She likes to play tag football. She's just a little bit more rough. For the girly girls, it was, okay, she's going to get her hair done. She exudes all things girly, all things girl like. That was it. It wasn't, I think the culture, and like Odor said, there's nothing new under the sun, but I think honestly, the shifting of our culture and the shifting of the time that we're in has heightened up a lot of things that now I think people honestly are starting to pay a little bit more attention to certain things than they used to. Even, no offense, even with our children, and I'll say this, Carl probably doesn't pay attention. I pay attention to even how my daughters act. I pay attention to like the things they say. Like right now, Zion's 4 years old, and I know she's in that age of discovery, and we do watch the things that she says on TV. But even when she says him and her, and she'll be like, "Daddy's a boy," and maybe again because of the time I overly emphasize, "Daddy is a boy, mommy's a girl." Like, I am a she, he is a he. She's even asking, well, why is Daddy a boy? And I'm like, well, that's the way Jesus made Daddy. Jesus made Daddy to be a girl, and she, made mommy to be a boy. Just explaining things and just being very cautious, because it is, look, we about to shift spiritual. This culture now and the way that the world is shifting, it is very, it's scary. It is extremely scary. What our children have been indoctrinated with, to believe that everything is okay and everything is fine. And you really, it's just a lot to be said. And kids, even at a young age, I was actually working, and I was clicking on to go to another tab, and I saw something that said that this child 3 years old saying that quote unquote he wanted to identify as a girl, and I'm like,
It's crazy.
it took my breath away. I know we're supposed to talk about fathers, so we about to transition back on that because I could. It just certain things just hurt my heart. But again, I just think it's the it's scary. And Angela said a lot of women really don't know. It's very common for a single mom to be harder on boys in some situations because they don't know how the man would have handled things. Yep, they do. They do what they think they should do to save their sons. It's actually sad that y'all would consider moments of honesty not knowing what to do as masculine. Wrong word. Wrong word for sure. Masculine is masculine, but I don't even see masculine. I see something else. Well, tell us what you see, Angela. You can put it in the comments.
Yeah, you can call in or
you can call in or call in or tell us. Andrea said it's very scary. The agenda has worked. You got that right. It's very scary and right in our face. Yes, absolutely.
Kind of going back to what Pastor Ware said. He was like, we're afraid to get into the spiritual aspect, and it's true because there's nothing new under the sun. This masculine energy that we've said, we actually saw it in the garden. The serpent actually went to Eve basically and said, you don't need to listen to him. You can take control. Like, you can be like God. God know if you eat of that fruit, you're going to be just like God. You don't need to listen to your husband. You don't need to listen to Adam. And following her lead, Adam following her lead caused them to fall. And so it's kind of the same thing now.
I was about to tease Carl. We always getting blamed, ladies. We always getting it's
not
our fault.
Because
it's like, no, I'm teasing. Go ahead.
And the truth of the matter is, it's not Eve's fault. It's Adam's fault because God didn't levy the judgment until Adam ate. God told Adam not to eat. So who knows what would have happened if Eve would have did it and Adam said, no, I'm not doing that. But when God came walking, he said, Adam, where are you? He didn't say, he didn't even address Eve. He said, Adam, where are you? And so it goes back to that being accountable as a man and just, listen, I'm going to lead my family. Like, if you're not someone, and I think that kind of speaks to that masculine energy in women also, is that it comes off as you're a woman who can't be led. So if I can't lead you, this is not a relationship for me. Like, it's not about, masculine is not about being in control. No, headship is not, it's not about controlling and ruling. It's about, can I lead you? And the Bible says, as we submit to Christ, in other words, I'm submitting to him leading me. You have to submit to me leading you because he's leading me. And so submission is just being willing to be led. That's all it is. And so when we say submission, and men have to submit ourselves to God, women submit, our wives submit themselves to us, because you trust us to lead you. And the reason why I say masculine women are an instant turn off for me is because I know I cannot lead you anywhere. I know that you think you have the vision, you have the lead. So I think that's why, to real men, when a lot of women come off hard like that, or they don't want to give up control, it's an instant turn off. Like, okay, I can't lead you. I'm not fighting. This ain't gonna be no power struggle. I'm gonna just go find somebody who wants to be led by me. And so it's yeah. I mean, Pastor Son's right. It's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
And so
So how do you think that honestly, how do you think a woman can correct that? I mean, that's the reality, because as we know, a lot of women, we do have female listeners. I mean, I'm a woman, and like I said, I'm okay. We will submit. I'll just say this, like I said earlier, sometimes women can tell who you can be somewhat I guess, overly assertive with, and who you like. Okay, he ain't gonna let me just do what he ain't gonna let me run him over, so to speak. Um, but how do you tell that? How do you tell that young lady that's maybe because of just different things, honestly, that she's been through in life, and she's scared because maybe there was a time that she was really like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna let this guy take the lead, and the men, and not, and when I say this, don't take that dogmatic approach of, um, well, you got to choose better, because maybe sometimes maybe she felt like, I thought I did choose better.
Yeah, I get it.
He didn't show up like the other ones had showed up. So
Yeah.
how do you tell that young woman to say, you know what, it's okay to let him lead? How would you say that to a young woman that say, you know what, I want a man to be a man, but I'm scared because I don't want to be ran over, I don't want to be taken advantage of? How would you talk to her?
First, okay, so I'm gonna answer that. I want to read Claire's statements first because it's really powerful.
You can talk.
Claire said, I used to tell my son that he should only cry for his mom, sister, or Jesus only. My son is 27. When he became a father and made me a grandmother, wow, I apologize for telling him this and anything else that caused him to smother his feelings. Listen,
Jesus.
We make the best decisions with the options we have in front of us. Somewhere along the way, someone told you, Claire, men shouldn't do X, Y, Z.
Right.
You pass it on to your son. But it's such a powerful statement because that's how you break generational curses. You say, listen, son, I told you this and I was wrong. Right. How many of our parents went back to us to apologize? Like, listen, I only gave you what I was given. I didn't know. If I knew better, I would have done better. I'm pretty sure in 10, 15, 20 years, I'm gonna owe some of our daughters an apology because I was raised to see the world one way.
Right.
And so the world may not even still be that way. And my advice could be the worst thing for them. But you don't know until you grow. Like, you don't know until, so you telling your son that's the first step. We have to step back and say, you know what? I don't know everything. I thought I did. I thought I was doing, the right thing for you. And to answer your question, how do we correct that? Women have to raise other women. Like men, we cannot correct that. What is it? Naomi had to teach Ruth, or was it the other way around? Ruth had to teach Naomi how to get what she wanted in life. And so you have to have older women around you.
That's good.
With wisdom to help you navigate. Because a wise woman, when you introduce them to your boyfriend, to the guy you want to date, they'll tell you right off the bat. They will tell you whether or not he's right for you, whether he's not right. Like, you can't move like a lone wolf and then get mad at the consequences of what you keep getting. You have to have. I can't teach you how to avoid certain pitfalls as a woman because I'll never be a woman.
Right.
So it takes older women, just like the Bible says. The Bible says that the older men are to teach the younger men. So the younger men, we have strength. The older men have wisdom. The same thing with women. The older women have the wisdom. The younger women have the strength. Like, you have to place yourself around people, and that's why I always tell people. If you're hanging around people that are always like, relationships are bad, men are bad, women are bad, you need to run away from this. You need to change your circle. Because you have to be around wisdom. Stop hanging around these foolish people and then wonder why I'm not married. Why I don't have the success somebody else has. Because you keep hanging around people without wisdom. You have to surround yourself, and if the people in your circle don't demonstrate a certain level of wisdom to get you to the next level, it's time for you to move on. And so my simple answer is, you have to be around people with wisdom, who understand where you're going in life and what you're doing. Naomi had to teach Ruth, listen, don't be like all the other girls. When Boaz does this, when he done drunk good and he sleep, go lay at his feet. If you tell a woman today, go lay at his feet, who you think I am? Ain't no servant, ain't like, And that's
what
why
you
you keep
gonna do.
and that's why you keep getting what you keep getting,
right?
Because you're not willing to listen to the wisdom. Say what you want about your grandmama and her and your grandfather's relationship. Say what you want about your mom and her dad, but they had somebody. Like, they didn't just have somebody. They had somebody that took care of them. Now, we all got faults.
Right.
Yeah, granddaddy may have been doing this thing, and guess what? Grandmama was doing her thing sometimes too. like grandma was doing her thing sometimes too. But they had each other. And they built a life. And so you have to stop looking at the negative in relationships and business and ministry and life, because if all you do is look at the negative, that's all you're going to see.
I'll let you read Angela's comment, but I was just thinking about what you were saying, you know, just surrounding yourself with just people with wisdom, and just changing your circle, and I would even speak to what the Bible says. Lord, we really got churchy for like a titch. but like what the Bible says in Romans, that actually is one of my favorite scriptures, Romans chapter 12 verses 1 and 2, talking about having your mind be transformed and changed. Yeah. There has to be a shift in your perspective, and it has to be a shift in what you are willing now to receive. There's that saying, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But sometimes, you know, you have to be like, I'm sick and tired of dealing with the same old foolery, and something has to shift in my life. Something has to change in my life. And if you don't address it, and you just keep putting up with it, then you're not going to get different. You're not going to move different. And oftentimes when I even talk to my girls, sometimes I'm like, you know, all I see from the generation sometimes, and I'm not, no shade against the generation. I love young people. I love whatever. I got a house full of women. Your nails is this long and your shirt is up to here. Like, give somebody something different. Attract some. All y'all doing the same thing. All y'all look alike. Mm-hmm. Your eyelashes, nothing wrong with lashes, because I like lashes, but Jesus, they don't have to look like they roaches sitting on your eyes. Or butterflies sitting on your face. Like, give people something different. You know, when you want something different, you will move differently to get different results. You know, all young women don't cuss. You know, all women, like, for me, and this might sound crazy, when I see a woman, because, you know, there's a certain way that I want to carry myself, but when I see another woman in a business suit, or she looks like a woman of power and authority, I'm like, get it, girl. Like, I'm all in. Like, yes, like she's slaying it, because it speaks to something inside of me. It speaks to the better that I want for myself, or the look as a woman of, you know, that's a look that I'm aspiring to, or, you know, that's a position. Now, again, I might not know her backstory, what she did to get there, but when you see someone that is attracting, you know, it connects with your spirit. So sometimes, like you said, you do have to change your surrounding. You do have to change your circle. You do have to change what you listen to, what you read, what you drink, what you eat. If you want different things, like, you have to change. You have to make adjustments. And for that male, because what we were talking about was supposed to be about Father's Day, but for that male, you know, like I said, we don't really see a lot of single fathers, and you all probably don't get celebrated in the way that you all should, you know. And we do a disservice to some of the men in our life that are been there. But, you know, I try to, one thing that I learned, one thing that I try to do is affirm the men in my life. You know, even my dad will send me text messages and, you know, tell me how much he loves me and he's so proud of me. But I'll send my dad a text message like, Dad, you know, you are a great man. You know, I love you. You know, thank you for being there. You know, I'll tell him thank you. You know, you probably even forgot the little dates that you used to take me on. I didn't forget those dates, you know, that you took me on. Like, thank you for showing up in my life and being present. You know, I'll send something to my godfather. Like, you know, thank you for being a great godfather. Like, you know, just as women need to be affirmed, and we like to hear, you know, the verbal praise and the physical praise of, you know, receiving gifts. Men are the same way. You just have to tap into that love language of that man. And if you speak to that love language of that man, then you'll get his heart. Just like Samson and Delilah, you know, the reason why she was able to get Samson's purpose. What you about to say?
No.
Oh, the reason why she was able to connect with Samson is because she was very strategic, and she took time, and that's how he was able to lay his purpose in her lap, because she was very strategic, and she did kind of know how to stroke his ego, and she did make him feel comfortable. Now, I'm not saying you need to sleep with a man to get all what you need to get, because you don't have to sleep with a man to get all what you need to get. You just need to be wise on how you stroke the man who you're with, his ego, to get what you need to get. Praise God.
You gotta be wise how you stroke the man.
I said stroke his ego. I say don't stroke nothing else.
And so,
no
Angela,
stroking of nothing.
So I'm gonna read Angela's comment because it was something I was thinking about earlier. Since you mentioned it being spiritual, if you just have to call it masculine, drop my phone. What's the root of the behavior? Wow. You're right. It is more spiritual. Let's find out what it really is and not focus on obvious behavior that you see and don't like. Calling a woman masculine does not help, because I'm almost positive she's very, very feminine in most areas in life. I consider words like that very manipulative, unless the lady is just straight up manly. I can agree with that. I mean, I can definitely agree with that. You know, I was just thinking about, you mentioned, you know, what is the root of it? I don't even want to say that. So the root of it, and you see, okay, so in today's society, you see most women saying, I don't need a man. Like even one of our daughters said that one time. We was like, no, you're not going to say that. Like you're not going to speak that. I think the root of it is rebellion, because that was one of the first things God said we needed. God looked at Adam and said, it's not good for mankind to be alone. When you translate that word man, and it's often used throughout scripture, what God said was, it's not good for mankind to be alone. As a matter of fact, one of the worst punishments is solitary confinement. When they put you in solitary, that is the worst punishment, because you're by yourself.
Right.
So God knew that just being a lone wolf, just being by yourself, was punishment. And so God says, it's not good that you're alone. Let me create a suitable helpmeet for you. Yeah. So I think at the root of it is a rebellion against what God says you need. How do we come to the place to say we don't need what God said we need? Like how do you speak, I don't need no man, when God says, yes, you do? I need my wife, she needs me. I need Ebony needs Carl. Let's not go through life acting like, and I get it, everybody's not going to get married. So your need for somebody may not be marriage, it could be friendship, it can be something. But stop saying what you don't need when God says, yes, you do need it. You absolutely do need that union with somebody, like with the opposite sex. Gotta be clear. You honestly do, because God said it's not good for mankind to just go through life alone. So I think at the root of it is that rebellious spirit, and we're calling it masculine, we're calling it whatever, because it's so unnatural. We don't know what to call it, because to see a woman be masculine or to see a man be feminine is basically unnatural. It's unnatural. Yeah. And so we just don't know what to call it. As a matter of fact, most times when Jesus cast out demons, he said, you unclean spirit. Like, it's just something that's just unnatural that should not be in us. And so I don't know. I mean, it's just it's a lot.
Read with Angela said something again, and then Elder Ware actually said exactly what you, Pastor Ware, said exactly what you said. Go ahead.
Okay, Angela, do you think a strong-minded person with positive thoughts have to change friends with negative thoughts on relationships? I believe that person can't be swayed and actually may need to stay around. No, you need to get away. I mean, it's a simple answer, because okay, a strong-minded person with positive thoughts have to change friends with negative thoughts on relationships. Chances are you're not going to draw them, they're going to draw you. That's why the Bible says light has no can't walk with darkness. Because chances are, the more you walk with darkness, the more that darkness is going to seep into you. Like,
are you going to conform and start changing to how they are?
Like you're going to conform. And the Bible says, as a man thinks, as he speaks.
So is he.
So if you're hanging around somebody who speaks negative, who thinks negative, it's going to seep into you. It's just, the negative has such a way that just kind of overrides the positive. Like, it don't matter how many positive things people say about you on Facebook. Let that one negative comment, you will go back and forth with that person for a week trying to prove something to them, not celebrating everybody else who says you're great, but we'll focus on that one negative comment, and we'll lose our mind over that one negative comment. And it's the same thing with what you're saying, Angela. If you are around a negative person, eventually their thoughts are going to become your thoughts. And then their words are going to become your words. So I'm just.
Or you might honestly, if you keep hanging around them, you might honestly start being irritated by them, because you're like, dang on, can you? I mean, there are some people that are like really, I won't say energy, because that's not the word I wanted to use, but for the sake of the phrase, the terminology tonight, some people's energy is draining, and you're like, dang on, here we go, or that person's always going to be combative. It's like, God, dog, like, she's sweet, and he or she is sweet in one instant, but dang, they're going to be combative. And it's like, nobody want to deal with a combative person all the time. That is wearing and taxing. And instead of having a good time, you've walked away like, I could have just stayed at home. I could have kept, this cute outfit and this nice little face beat for another occasion, because this one right here, you always, sometimes you have that friend, what you always, this is what we always gonna get. Yeah. They're not going to be willing to be open to change. So, you know what? Maybe I just gotta love them from a distance. if there's a such thing as loving from a distance.
I love what Pastor Ware said. We'll read it. Okay. He said the greatest position a woman has is the position of a helper. There are women, despite her spiritual and natural condition, can marry, divorce, and marry again. How? Why? She plays the position of a helper. Men are attracted to helpers, to be a helper. Listen, that was the purpose of why God created Eve. Right. Like, and I've heard this said in a room full of women, and women just go crazy. Like, they become super defensive. Somebody who was very popular said that women are here because of us. Like, God looked around and said, this man needs a helper. Yeah. And I'm going to create him a helpmeet. And what they said was kind of extreme. They said, your purpose is us. I think your first purpose is us. Your first purpose is your husband. Now, we can have purposes outside of the marriage confines, but it's true. A woman's first purpose is to be a helper to her husband. That's why God created woman. Just like our purpose is to cultivate the land. Like, God told Adam, cultivate. And he wasn't just talking about the ground. You got to cultivate your family. You got to cultivate your kids. You got to cultivate on your job. Like, we have to cultivate. And so that's our purpose. So a man who knows this, knows his purpose, when a woman comes along, I can help you cultivate. Like, I can help you achieve the vision God has given to you.
And even when, even since, look, we done shifted spiritual, but even when Adam was in the garden, Adam named Eve. So Adam knew, like, okay, this is my wife. This is, bone of my bone, flesh of my, like, he knew, like, this woman was made for me. And oftentimes, young women, because I even asked Carl, like, well, how did you know? Like, I guess I was the one, because I never walked around like, I'm the one. I know what God has given me, what the talents and my purpose is, and I know that I can listen to you say a thing, and automatically my mind goes to thinking, like, okay, like I could talk to anybody. They say, oh, Ebony, I have a thought about this, and then instantly my brain just, something inside me just, and I'm like, oh, you can do, I just go. But oftentimes, sometimes, like, and we've heard single women say, well, I just don't want to just be here to help, but that is your job. And for me, as a woman, and as a wife, more importantly, like, when my husband achieves greatness or my husband has a win, I'm like, yes, I did that, even though yes, Carl may have physically did that, but I'm like, that's my man. Like I'm pumped, like I did that, like that's my man, like because it speaks to, again, as a woman, like we don't really realize it. Like my dad would tell me, like, you don't realize the power that you have as a woman, and you don't realize the influence you have as a woman in your husband's life. Like if we knew, he said, if women knew the power that they have with their husband, they would approach things a whole lot differently, and they would see different results. But because you sometimes, we catch an attitude, or we, have a bad day or whatever, feeling type, whatever, it shifts. But again, it's all about how to cultivate your relationship. And, even being married a second time around, there are I learned from my first marriage, and I took away from, so, okay, I'm not going to do that because that didn't help, or or maybe, and every man is different. So as a woman, even with dating, listen to the man that you're dating. He will, we just watched this podcast, and a young lady was like, she didn't want to date a young man that didn't have purpose or vision. And I didn't see anything wrong with that. Like, as a man, you should have a goal. You should know somewhere where we're going, because you got to lead. I want you to lead me. You want me to date you, but you can't even tell me, okay, well, I may not have $1 million, but I have a plan. I'm going back to school, or I am an entrepreneur, or I have that entrepreneur spirit. I'm working my 9 to 5, but then after that, I'm cultivating the other gifts. Like women, a woman of purpose and a woman that can see something in you, we will see that and we will help catch that vision. But as a man, you can't get mad at a woman if you can't even articulate what your purpose is, and then you expect me to be like, oh yes, babe, I'm here for it. Absolutely not. It's not gonna happen. And
so I want to finish reading what somewhere said. He said after that last statement, he said, we don't care what she has, we don't care about her trauma, we care if she can help. And it goes back to how we started. When a person meets you, they don't necessarily care about why you're in the condition that you're in. We just want to know, can you help? And vice versa. When a woman meets a man who doesn't know his purpose, you don't care why he don't know his purpose. You have no obligation to stay and try to figure out and help him understand why he doesn't know his purpose. No, you can go and find someone, or pray that someone finds you that knows their purpose. And so it kind of ties in what we started off saying, is that you're not owed anything. I mean, you're not owed an explanation as to why. You just have to be that person when they find you. You have to be what they're looking for.
But then like we said, though, as far as like what we were supposed to be talking about why y'all ain't got no nice gifts.
Father's Day.
For Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. But no, it shifted and definitely a transition as always. But no, I will honestly say that, if you do have a male role model, father figure, uncle, cousin, brother, someone that has, been significant in your life, honor him on Father's Day. Send them those words of encouragement. I believe it does mean something to them. I think it, just like I said, if we as women like to be affirmed, then how much more, than the men that in our life need to be affirmed, because they do need to hear our voice. They do need to know that, we do care, we do pay attention, and you would be surprised. Like, I even talked to my dad recently when he came into town, just about, just certain things like sacrifices, and just to even hear his point of view, because even growing up, sometimes you have like you have a child's perspective, but then when you become an adult, your vision is opened up. Like, wow, like now, okay, oh, this is why you did that. This is why you said that. When you're a child, you speak from a very limited perspective, but when you become an adult and you mature and then you have children yourself, your vision is opened up and you do begin to see things differently. But if you have a man that is a good man in your life and has poured into you and helped you, and not just on Father's Day. I know, Mother's Day is, like Carl said, we get the red carpet, but, at least make it a point to let that man know that, you are appreciated, you are needed,
Yeah.
and they're valid. Because believe it or not, men, they, they, I think they do. I think y'all do feel some type of way sometimes if we don't validate you, and you will go looking for validation elsewhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't want that, then you better jump on it. Not literally jump on it, but do what you got to do.
Yeah. So we started out in how we took this left turn is that we was talking about how women are told Happy Father's Day on Father's Day if they were single parents, but you're a mother. Celebrate on Mother's Day. We're gonna celebrate you, but you're not a father.
Right.
I mean, I know that's something unheard of to say in these day and times, but I appreciate my mom. I really do, but she's not my dad.
Right.
Like she's not.
She is definitely not Papa Butler.
She's definitely not my dad. But hold on. Angela said, I'm a single mom, and I often want to ask my kids to find out what their dads want so that I can make sure they get it.
Wow.
But then I realized they don't do that for me, so it's been on my mind a lot lately. So I may go ahead and do it this year. I say do it because
if it's been on your mind,
yeah,
there's a reason why it's on your mind. I do understand where Angela's coming from. Because one year I got a bad gift and I was like, there was no thought put into this. So I feel, Angela, I do feel you. But if it's been put on your heart, it's been put on your heart for a reason. And maybe God wants to, you never know that you extending, that grace for Father's Day this year. It may open up some healing. It may open up some things that you're like, okay, Jesus, that's why you had me do this. Okay. You know?
And it could also be something as simple as giving your daughters that example.
Right.
That even though I'm in this situation, that I can still appreciate your father. One of the things that and I was just talking about that at our men's get together, and you said it, and that's what kind of triggered it. It's that Adam named Eve, but it's not the fact that he named her, is when he named her. He didn't name her until after the fall. The Bible says that after God put them out, that's when he looked at her and called her Eve. He still honored her by calling her the mother of his kids, like the mother of all living things, even though he had justification to be mad at her. Like, could you imagine how upset he would have been at her in that moment? But he still looked at her and said, you're still the mother of my kids. Like, you're still, I can still respect you and give you the name you're supposed to have, even though I could be upset with you right now, even though things are not right. And so that could be the lesson of just trying to show that even though whatever happened, and I don't know your situation, and so, but just showing I can still respect you as the father of
these beautiful
of our
children,
kids,
right?
But yeah, I mean, something to think about. So on this Sunday, Happy Father's Day to all fathers.
Happy Father's Day.
I'm not telling not one woman Happy Father's Day. Y'all cut that out.
It sounds crazy.
I mean, I understand, but mom. Some kids feel like mom had to be mom and dad. I get it. I'm not.
Right.
I can't take that from you.
We don't diminish that at all.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take that from you because I wasn't raised in that situation. But my personal opinion, let dads have their day.
Yeah.
Let the men who were good men have their day. Just say Happy Father's Day.
And maybe even on this day, because oftentimes, look, we should have transitioned to talk about this. And even oftentimes, even maybe if he wasn't a good dad, maybe this Father's Day will begin to start some healing and deliverance from, what your father did or didn't do, because, there are some fathers that didn't show up and they weren't present. And, there are many women that hold on to that, and it does affect their adulthood. But maybe even to start this year, for some healing and some forgiveness, maybe some conversations to say, hey, you know what, I haven't talked to my dad maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, 5 years. You know what, maybe I do need to go ahead and talk to him, reach out to him. just to make sure, because there was there's a scripture in the Bible, and it just talks about, your prayers being held up if you have unforgiveness in your heart. And life is too short. Time is moving so swiftly. And if you can get it right while you have breath in your body, and if God puts it on your heart. I was even thinking about that today. And I was going to put a post on Facebook. If God puts somebody's name on your heart, or drops their face in your mind or in your spirit, reach out to that person, because you don't know what that could do. You reaching out to a person, like a male figure in your life that has hurt you or maybe hasn't done you right. You never know how God could use that this year or in the years to come to offer healing and to give you that release that you need to be healed and to move on. So this year, like I said, love on the men that have been there, give them their flowers, take them out to dinner, buy them some new golf clubs. My father-in-law loves golfing. So Zion, we try to always, from Zion, we always try to get him some Adidas gear. Do the things that man in your life likes and appreciates, because trust me, they pay attention and they do care, even though they might, act all hard and macho, a little extra. They like to be loved on too. They like to be loved on too. So show them your love. Show them your love this weekend.
Yeah. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. Definitely gonna celebrate my dad this Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. So we're gonna celebrate my dad this Sunday. I was raised by a man who is probably unmatched. I know Ebony's dad is in Ohio.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my dad, our lights were never off. We were never sat outside, never on government assistance. When I'm sitting around with people and they're talking about, government cheese, I just have to kind of, I don't know. Like, I don't, right. And it wasn't the fact that my dad was like this high earning executive. He worked 2-3 jobs at a time sometimes. Right. And so, but he showed me what it is to be a man. Like,
he's a high value man.
High value, yes.
We would call it a high value man.
Yeah, high value man.
High value man.
I never saw him run around on my mom, and I didn't experience that. I mean, so it's just it's good to celebrate good men.
Right.
They get one day a year. Even though the Publix ain't gonna celebrate them in Kroger and Walmart.
Y'all got cards. Y'all got
we got one little section.
Y'all do not have no one section. Y'all have sections. They even got the mahogany line for black men or men of different ethnic backgrounds. Y'all got a section. It's building. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Y'all got the number one dad t-shirts. They don't make number one mom t-shirts. They got the number one dad t-shirts with the hat and everything else. Y'all just love on that man that God has given you. And for the ones that maybe have lost their fathers, our prayers will be with you. Your uncles, your grandfathers, that man of purpose that God has placed in your life. Maybe you lost them. Our prayers honestly will be with you, because that's I'm not looking forward to burying my parents. I'm not. I hope we don't have to, but I hope we can all be caught up in the rapture. Praise God. But
you don't have to.
No, but I'm serious. I mean, death has. Honestly, I just looked on Facebook last night, and one of my classmates, it was her birthday. Her mom passed away on her birthday, and that thing just kind of like hit me.
Yeah, I mean,
just love on the people while they're here. Just love on while you're here, because you just never know. You just never
I think
know.
about that. I'm at the age where
You never know.
I'm at the age where every time my parents call, I answer the phone. That's just how, like, I think, like, when you're younger, you're trying to avoid your parents, but as you get older, I'm just at the age where every time they call, I answer the phone, because
And Carl don't be talking about nothing. Let me help you.
Don't talk.
He just listens.
Yeah, I just listen. But I just kind of think morbidly sometimes, because we're at that age where our parents are getting older, and I don't want to miss a call. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. Yeah, just It's just crazy. Angela says because they know women are creative, they know y'all need all the extra help during Mother's Day. You know what? That's true.
Absolutely.
That's very true. You got to lay it out for us. That's a good point.
Thank you, Angela. They simple.
We was walking in Publix and like clockwork. Every man stop, get flowers. Stop, get a card. Stop. They had everything right there.
Y'all visuals creatures. Y'all need
everything was right there in our little men assembly line. Flowers, stuff, plants, cards,
balloons.
It's all balloons. Put it all together for us.
It was in a U. It was in a C shape. Follow the yellow brick road. That is true. Y'all need help.
Yeah, that's true. Cause I hate shopping.
See,
I would get frustrated and leave the store if I have to shop for anything.
He has done that before.
I hate it.
And I'm like, that's some foolery. Get your tail back in there. Get back in the game.
You go do it. I'm not doing it.
And I'm okay with that because I like to do it.
Anyway, we appreciate y'all for joining us tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in once again to The Loveless Marriage. We'll be back next week, next Thursday at 8. Please share the video, like the video. If you want to support us, Cash App, $ Butler Studios. Please make sure you subscribe to Butler Studios Network on YouTube.
Yes.
We want to be at 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and also now TikTok. The Loveless Marriage on all three. We appreciate all of our callers, those who called in tonight, and we'll see y'all next time. Yeah, it was really good. Appreciate Joe and Pastor Ware.
Thank y'all.
Pastor Ware, one of my favorite people.
he is so honest and hilarious.
He really is, man.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, we'll see y'all next time right here on The Loveless Marriage.
Let's be better together, y'all.